the former director of strategy to Prime Minister David Cameron, GOP California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton. Steve, it's great to see you. What's your reaction when you heard about this? Because, you know, the May and June jobs numbers were revised lower by a massive 258,000 jobs. Steve, we've never seen that since the government shut down the economy and people were thrown out of work in the pandemic in 2020.
Yeah, Kevin is right. These numbers are all over the place, and it seems to be getting worse. And so, exactly as he said, we've got to have confidence in this data because it's a key barometer of how the economy is doing. You've got many other indicators that are pointing in a positive direction. And actually, what it all really is about is this question, which is so top of so many people's minds right now in terms of the economy, which is what on earth is going on with interest rates. And actually, if the job growth is weaker than we've been led to believe, that really undermines even further Jerome Powell's case for not cutting rates now. And so we've got to be clear about this. We've got to make sure that we're all operating on data that we can trust.
Right. I mean, it looks like Fed Chair Powell is bringing on a recession by not cutting rates. The housing market is taking hits. There really is something wrong with the BLS jobs numbers. They claim that the 109,000 jobs that didn't exist in June from public schools, when public schools were going out for the summer. And historically, you know, Steve, we've seen jobs revisions over the decades stable. It's like 7,000 to the upside or downside.
Exactly.
Now you're seeing swings of 80,000 or 100,000. I mean, these revisions are really dramatic.
They are bigger in some cases than the actual totals that you see for the months, you know, and that's just totally crazy because it gives such a distorted view of what's going on. And this is what everyone takes into account when you're making decisions, business investment decisions, and of course, crucially, the interest rate decision, which affects so much else. And so I don't think we can go on like this. And that's why it is so important that the president's acted. And it's exactly what you'd expect from President Trump, which is if he sees a problem, he wants to fix it quickly.
Yeah, the Wall Street, you know, people were really shocked last year. Initially, the BLS reported 880,000 jobs that didn't exist in the 12 months through March under Biden. Then that was revised down to 560,000 jobs. These are dramatic swings. And now the president is taking a lot of hits about his economic agenda, notably tariffs, as he's moving now. Today was the deadline. He's moving to raise tariffs on nearly 70 nations as they've been negotiating for months. Watch what the president said to a reporter about this. Listen to this, Steve.
I just want to ask you, why didn't you invoke this law in your first term? You could have taken in billions upon billions of dollars in your first term, but you waited until your second term.
Yeah, because in my first term, I was fighting lunatics like you who were trying to do things incorrectly and inappropriately to a president that was duly elected.
You know, he's basically frustrated, right? I mean, Jamie Dimon just changed his tune on tariffs. The president is battling against America getting hit with things like value-added tax in Europe and overseas. Exactly right. And he's basically leveling the playing field. So you got that. You got Fed Chair Powell saying, oh, tariffs could cause inflation down the road. We know that companies are recalibrating their earnings results, saying they're taking hits to the bottom line. But Fed Chair Powell, Trump nicknamed him too late. Is he too late because he won't cut interest rates? Because if the employment market is cracking, then it's too late because in not cutting rates, and that could lead into a recession because of Powell.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's what is so important, that you've got to keep growth going. That's what matters to people, low inflationary growth. We've got the low inflation. There's no sign that the tariffs are really having a serious effect on inflation. And here's something that's incredibly important about Powell. He said that there was a sign of that yesterday, but the tariffs is a one-off thing. It's not an inflationary thing. There's a big difference between the core structural inflation and a one-off hit as you would get from this. And so he's completely wrong, Jerome Powell, to even make that argument about tariffs. He really doesn't know what he's talking about there. And so in the broader context, so I just want to say on the tariffs, I mean, you've got the New York Times now saying even Trump is winning his tariff war. That was a headline this week. I mean, the results of this are absolutely the opposite of the doom and gloom disaster that was predicted just a few months ago.
Where's the optimism from Powell on the trillions of dollars in investments the president is saying he's pulling into America from overseas? Steve Hilton, thank you so much. Great to see you again. Now, please listen to this.